Leah was an alien exchange student from the distant planet Valderan. Her arrival at the high school on Earth had sparked excitement initially. Everyone was fascinated by her shimmering blue skin, her silvery hair that seemed to glow in the sunlight, and her soft voice, which carried a musical tone. But the fascination didn't last long. Over time, curiosity turned to discomfort, and discomfort bred cruelty. Whispers started in the hallways mocking her appearance, the way she talked, and even the small device she wore to help translate human languages. The novelty of an alien in their midst wore off, and to some, Leah became just an outsider to ridicule. The bullying wasn't always direct. At first, it came in subtle ways: a pointed laugh when she walked into class, a sudden silence when she tried to join a group, or the mocking mimicry of her melodic voice. Leah, though intelligent and kind, was naive about human social dynamics. She didn't understand why her peers avoided her or why her every attempt to make friends was met with awkward excuses. But things escalated one rainy afternoon when a group of students cornered her behind the school gym. They snatched her translation device, tossing it between them like a toy. Leah's soft protests were drowned out by their laughter, and her bright eyes, which normally glimmered with curiosity, were now filled with confusion and hurt. Nathan watched the scene unfold from a distance. He wasn't particularly popular himself, but he wasn't invisible either. Known for his quick wit and sharp mind, Nathan had a reputation for being the guy who could hold his own in any debate. As he stood there, watching the bullies laugh at Leah's expense, something inside him snapped. He'd always thought of himself as someone who stood up for what was right, but in that moment he realized how silent he'd been, how complicit. His fists clenched as he stepped forward, his sneakers squelching in the wet grass. "Hey, what's your problem?" Nathan's voice cut through the noise, sharp and unexpected. The bullies froze for a moment, startled by his interruption. One of them, a tall guy named Logan, turned with a smirk. "What's it to you, Nate?" "Just having a little fun." Nathan didn't back down. He moved closer, standing between Leah and the group, his stance firm, despite the knot of nerves tightening in his stomach. "Yeah? Looks like fun to you? She doesn't even understand what's going on, and you're just showing how pathetic you are." His words hit harder than Logan had expected, and for a moment the group hesitated. Leah watched the exchange in silence, her translator now lying forgotten in the muddy ground. She didn't need it to understand Nathan's actions. The way he stood protectively in front of her, his voice unwavering, spoke volumes. The bullies, embarrassed by the growing attention their antics were attracting, muttered something under their breath and dispersed. Nathan sighed in relief, then turned to Leah, bending down to pick up her translator. He wiped it on his sleeve before handing it back to her. "Here," he said softly. "I'm sorry you had to deal with that." Leah took the device with trembling hands, her voice barely a whisper. "Thank you." Her eyes met his, and for a moment there was a connection that transcended words, transcended species. It was as if she had found in this human boy a glimmer of hope in what had felt like an overwhelmingly hostile world. Nathan smiled awkwardly. "You don't have to thank me. It's just, you didn't deserve any of that." He paused, unsure of what to say next. "Look, I know it's not easy being here. People can be jerks, but not all of us are like that." The days that followed were different. Nathan made it a point to sit with Leah during lunch, introducing her to his small circle of friends. At first, Leah was hesitant, her previous experiences making her wary of trusting anyone. But Nathan's kindness was genuine, and his friends, while curious, treated her with the respect she hadn't known since arriving on Earth. Slowly, Leah began to open up, sharing stories about her home planet, her family, and the customs of Valderan society. Her tales of floating cities and bioluminescent forests captivated her new friends, and for the first time, Leah felt like she truly belonged. Nathan, too, found himself learning more than he had anticipated. Leah's perspective on Earth and its people was both fascinating and humbling. She spoke of how humans, despite their flaws, had a resilience and creativity that she admired. She described how she had come to Earth to understand its culture, to bridge the gap between their worlds. And in doing so, Nathan realized just how important her presence was, not just as an exchange student, but as a reminder of humanity's potential for connection and understanding. But not everyone was ready to accept Leah's place in their school. The bullies hadn't forgotten the humiliation of being called out. and their resentment simmered just beneath the surface. One afternoon, as Nathan and Leah walked home together, a group of them appeared, blocking their path. Logan stepped forward, his expression dark. "Think you're a hero now, huh, Nate?" Defending the alien freak, Nathan stood his ground, his heart pounding. "Back off, Logan. You've already proven you're a coward. No need to double down." Before Logan could respond, Leah stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Enough there was a quiet strength in her tone that made even Logan hesitate. "I may not understand everything about your world," she continued, "but I do know this kindness and courage are universal, and no matter how much you try to intimidate me, you can't take that away." Her words hung in the air, and for a moment even the bullies seemed unsure of themselves. Then, one by one, they turned and left, leaving Nathan and Leah standing alone on the quiet street. Nathan looked at her, impressed. "You didn't need me that time," he said with a grin. Leah smiled back, a hint of mischief in her eyes. "Maybe not, but it's nice to have a friend who's willing to stand by me." Their friendship grew stronger after that, and with Nathan's support, Leah began to flourish. She joined the school's science club, where her knowledge of Valderan technology amazed her classmates. Slowly, the barriers between her and the others started to break down. People began to see her not as an alien, but as a person, someone worth knowing. Yet the journey was far from over. Leah's presence on Earth still sparked debates, fears, and misunderstandings. There were those who questioned the purpose of her exchange program, who saw her as a threat rather than an opportunity. And while Leah had found a small circle of acceptance, she knew that true integration would take time. But with Nathan by her side, she felt ready to face whatever challenges came her way. And so the story of Leah and Nathan continued, two unlikely friends, bridging the gap between worlds, proving that even in the face of ignorance and fear, compassion and courage could prevail. Nathan and Leah's bond only grew stronger as the weeks turned into months. They became inseparable, an odd duo walking through the school hallways, him, the sarcastic but kind-hearted human, and her, the curious and brilliant alien. Their friendship was met with mixed reactions. Some students started warming up to Leah, realizing she wasn't the intimidating other they'd once feared. Others remained wary, their prejudices firmly rooted. Nathan noticed the change in how people treated him, too. Some of his old acquaintances kept their distance, muttering behind his back about his alien obsession. He shrugged it off, his loyalty to Leah outweighing the discomfort of lost friendships. Leah, meanwhile, immersed herself in Earth culture with Nathan as her guide. He introduced her to movies, music, and even fast food, something Leah found both fascinating and mildly horrifying. One evening, as they sat in a local diner, Leah poked at a plate of French fries with cautious curiosity. "So, humans take a perfectly good plant, slice it into sticks, and then fry it in oil until it becomes unhealthy?" she asked, tilting her head in that endearing way she did when she was genuinely puzzled. Nathan laughed, dipping a fry in ketchup. "Pretty much. It's what we call comfort food. Trust me, it's better than it sounds." Tentatively, Leah tried one. Her eyes widened, and she reached for another. "I suppose even humans have their small miracles." As they spent more time together, Leah began sharing more about her life on Valderan. Nathan was captivated by her descriptions of cities suspended in the clouds, powered by bio-organic energy systems that were light years ahead of Earth's technology. She spoke of the Valderan way of life, where cooperation and harmony were paramount, and conflict was rare. "On my planet, we value unity," she explained one afternoon as they worked on a school project in Nathan's backyard. "Our survival depends on it. We don't have the luxury of division, not when our environment demands constant balance." Nathan listened intently, marveling at how different and yet how similar her people were to his own. But Leah's stories weren't always idyllic. She also spoke of the pressures of being an exchange student, the expectations placed upon her to represent her planet. "It's not just about learning from humans," she admitted one evening as they sat beneath the stars. "I'm here to prove that Valderans can coexist with other species. If I fail, it won't just reflect on me. It could affect how your people see mine." Nathan's heart ached at the weight she carried. He wanted to tell her that it wasn't fair, that she shouldn't have to bear that burden alone. But he knew words wouldn't ease her worries, so he simply sat beside her, offering the quiet support she had come to rely on. Meanwhile, the tension between Leah and those who resented her presence simmered beneath the surface. Logan and his group, though less overt in their hostility, hadn't forgotten their humiliation. They began spreading rumors about Leia, whispering that she was a spy sent to gather information about Earth. The gossip spread like wildfire, fueled by fear and ignorance. Leia tried to ignore it, but Nathan could see how much it hurt her. Her once bright demeanor dimmed, and she began withdrawing, her usual curiosity replaced by a cautious silence. Nathan refused to stand by and watch her retreat into herself. One day during lunch, he stood on a table in the middle of the cafeteria and called out Logan directly. "You've got something to say about Leia? Say it to me." The room fell silent as everyone turned to watch. Logan, caught off guard, stammered before muttering something about Nathan being brainwashed. Nathan didn't let up. "You're so scared of someone different that you'd rather make up lies than get to know her. That's on you, not her." The cafeteria erupted in murmurs, and though Logan tried to laugh it off, it was clear Nathan's words had struck a nerve. Leah, who had been sitting nearby, felt a mixture of gratitude and embarrassment. After lunch, she pulled Nathan aside. "You didn't have to do that," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I can handle their ignorance." Nathan shook his head. "You shouldn't have to. Besides, this isn't just about you. It's about everyone who's ever been treated like they don't belong. If standing up for you makes people uncomfortable, then maybe it's time they rethink their behavior." Their defiance didn't go unnoticed. The school administration, aware of the growing tension, decided to host an Intergalactic Understanding Day where Leah would have the opportunity to share her culture with the school. At first, Leah was hesitant. The idea of standing in front of the very people who had mocked and ostracized her felt daunting. But Nathan encouraged her, reminding her of the bravery she had already shown. "You've got a chance to show them who you really are," he said. "Not the version they've made up in their heads." On the day of the event, the gymnasium was transformed into a mini Valdoran exhibit. Leah, with Nathan by her side, explained Valdoran traditions, demonstrated their unique technology, and even shared a holographic projection of her home planet. The students, initially skeptical, couldn't help but be fascinated. For the first time, they saw Leah not as an alien outsider, but as someone with a rich and vibrant culture. Even Logan and his friends, standing in the back, seemed grudgingly impressed. As the event wrapped up, Leah looked out at the crowd, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I came here to learn about humans," she said, "but I've learned something more important. Kindness, courage, and understanding are universal, and thanks to people like Nathan, I know those values exist here." The gym erupted in applause, and for the first time since arriving on Earth, Leah felt truly accepted. But life wasn't a perfect fairy tale. While many students had come around, there were still those who clung to their prejudices. Leah knew there would always be challenges ahead, but she also knew she wasn't alone. With Nathan by her side and a growing circle of allies, she felt ready to face whatever came next. And as the two of them walked home that evening, laughing about the day's events, Leah couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope, not just for herself, but for the future of both their worlds. And so their journey continued. The challenges ahead were uncertain, but one thing was clear: together they could face anything. As the days went on, Leah and Nathan's world became a mix of discovery and conflict. The success of the Intergalactic Understanding Day had given Leah a renewed sense of purpose, but it also amplified the divide among the students. Some embraced the idea of learning about Valdoran culture, while others dug their heels into their resistance, unwilling to let go of their biases. Leah had expected such reactions. Nathan had warned her that change was never easy, but knowing and experiencing were two different things. Nathan had become Leah's unofficial protector, not just from the overt hostility of people like Logan, but also from the more insidious forms of alienation. One afternoon, as they sat in the school library working on a group assignment, a few classmates purposefully moved their chairs to avoid sitting near Leah. She pretended not to notice, but Nathan saw the flicker of pain in her eyes. He leaned closer, nudging her shoulder. "They don't know what they're missing. Besides, who needs them? We've got this covered." Leah smiled faintly, grateful for his unwavering support. "You always find a way to make me feel like I belong," she said softly. Nathan shrugged, grinning. "That's because you do. It's them who need to catch up." His words were simple, but to Leah, they carried a profound weight. Nathan didn't just stand up for her, he saw her, truly saw her, in a way few others ever had. Their friendship continued to evolve, and with it so did Leah's understanding of humans. She began noticing the nuances of Earthling behavior, the unspoken cues in their body language, the layers of meaning in their words. Humans were far more complex than she had initially thought. One day, as they walked through the bustling city after school, Leah remarked on how chaotic human interactions seemed compared to Valderan harmony. On my planet, emotions are expressed openly, but here, it's like everyone is wearing a mask. How do you navigate all of this? Nathan laughed, tossing a stray pebble into a nearby fountain. We kind of make it up as we go. Humans are messy, but that's part of what makes life interesting. It's like we're all trying to figure out the same puzzle, but everyone's using a different piece. Leah considered his words, nodding slowly. I think I'm starting to understand, but it's still overwhelming at times. Over time, Leah began to challenge herself to interact more with her classmates. Inspired by Nathan's encouragement, she joined the school's science club, where her advanced knowledge quickly earned her respect. The other students were initially hesitant, but as Leah shared insights that simplified even the most complex problems, they couldn't help but admire her intellect. Where did you learn all this? One of the club members asked during a brainstorming session. Leah smiled, her eyes glinting with pride. From my people. Valderans believe knowledge is a gift meant to be shared. Despite these small victories, not everyone was ready to accept her. Logan, embittered by his dwindling influence, began spreading rumors that Lia's advanced intellect was a threat. She's probably hacking into our systems or something. He claimed one day in the cafeteria, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. She's too smart to be trusted. His words planted seeds of doubt in some, but others had grown tired of his antics. Maybe she's just better than you, Logan. Someone muttered under their breath, drawing a ripple of laughter. Nathan, however, wasn't laughing. He knew how much these accusations hurt Lia, even if she pretended they didn't. That evening, as they sat on the roof of his house gazing at the stars, Nathan brought it up. You know, you don't have to face this alone, he said. If you ever need to talk or, I don't know, vent or something, I'm here. Leah glanced at him, her expression unreadable. Thank you, Nathan. But I've been dealing with ignorance my entire life. On Valderan, we have a saying, the strongest roots grow in the harshest soil. I'll be okay. Her resilience amazed him, but he also knew it came at a cost. Their bond was put to the test one afternoon when Leah discovered her locker had been vandalized. Scrawled across the metal door in thick black marker were the words, "Go back to your planet." She stared at it in silence, her hands trembling. Nathan, arriving moments later, immediately sprang into action. Whoever did this is a coward, he fumed, grabbing a rag and a bottle of cleaner from a nearby janitor's cart. We're fixing this right now. As he scrubbed away the hateful words, Leah stood by, her eyes filled with both gratitude and sorrow. The incident didn't go unnoticed. The school principal called an emergency assembly to address the rising tension, but his speech was met with mixed reactions. Some students cheered when he spoke of unity, while others muttered under their breath about favoritism toward the alien. Nathan couldn't help but feel frustrated. How hard is it to just treat people decently, he vented to Leah afterward. She placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch surprisingly warm. Change takes time, Nathan. Even on Valderan, not everyone embraces unity immediately. Months later, the cultural exchange program had transformed the school. Leah was no longer seen as just the alien girl, she was a respected member of the community. Students who once avoided her now sought her out for advice or simply to chat. Even Logan, though still stubborn, had grown quieter in his resistance. Nathan often joked that Logan's silence was his way of admitting defeat. One crisp autumn afternoon, the school hosted its first Intergalactic festival, an event Leah and Nathan had worked tirelessly to organize. The courtyard buzzed with activity as students shared Earth traditions alongside glimpses of Valderan culture. Leah stood at the center of it all, radiant and confident. As she demonstrated a Valderan dance, students clapped and cheered, their enthusiasm genuine. Nathan watched from the sidelines, a proud grin on his face. When the festival ended, Leah and Nathan found themselves back on the rooftop, gazing at the stars. You've come a long way, Nathan said. Leah nodded, her eyes shimmering. We both have. None of this would have been possible without you. Nathan chuckled. Team effort, remember? Leah smiled. For the first time, she felt truly at home. not just on Earth, but in her heart, where acceptance had finally taken root. As the weeks passed, Leah began to focus on her long-term goal, proving that Valdorans and humans could coexist. She and Nathan started a cultural exchange program at the school, inviting students to share their traditions and experiences. The program gained traction, and soon, even some of Leah's harshest critics were participating. Logan, however, remained staunchly opposed. One day, during a heated debate in class, he accused Leah of trying to manipulate everyone. "You're just here to make us think your species is better than us," he spat. Leah, usually composed, finally snapped. "I'm not here to prove anything except that understanding is possible. Maybe if you tried it, you'd see that we're more alike than you think." Her words struck a chord, and for a moment the classroom fell silent. Even Logan seemed taken aback, though he quickly masked it with a sneer. Nathan, sitting beside her, leaned over and whispered, "That was awesome." Leah gave a small, triumphant smile, though she knew the battle was far from over. Their efforts continued, each day bringing new challenges and triumphs. Leah's presence at the school became a catalyst for change, forcing people to confront their fears and prejudices. Some rose to the occasion, while others clung to their old ways. But through it all, Leah and Nathan remained steadfast, their friendship a beacon of hope in a world still learning to accept the unknown. And so their story unfolded, an ever-evolving journey of growth, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between a human and an alien who refused to give up on each other or the world around them.